When it comes to William Afton, I think one of the scariest things is that he's still somehow alive and still somehow the antagonist in this series, the main antagonist, despite the fact that, I mean, at this point, I feel like Vanny should be taken over. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. It is me, Amanda. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 scariest William Afton moments. There are many scary moments, but these are a few that scare me the most. Let me know what scares you the most in the comments below. Number 10, his first demise. I would say one of the most iconically scary moments that involves William comes to us when his first defeat is revealed and we learn how he came back as Springtrap, or at least how he became Springtrap. Explaining how he lives after is actually more of a hotly debated topic than something that's super concrete, but at least we know how this happened because we see in the game. William Afton, arrogant as he is, flees the ghosts of his victims and attempts to hide and escape from them by getting in a Spring Bonnie suit. However, thanks to a puddle on the floor and his laughter at their inability to harm him, a little drip dripping into that puddle, the spring locks malfunction, causing him to be punctured all over throughout his body with the suit's springs and components unlocking. After being riddled this way, it would be assumed that William would have died because, you know, he's punctured all throughout his body with springs and stuff. But instead, he somehow manages to live on. And friends, before I move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Gaming, and if you want more content like this, guess what? We got FNAF playlists. You can check them out and you can get even more FNAF content. Number 9, appearance in FNAF 6. Scraptrap has always been a shocking version of William Afton to me as well. This is because while he is still very similar to his Springtrap form, he is even more tattered and worn here. There are whole chunks of him supposedly missing, including an entire arm, even though later he gets his arm back. Not only is this shocking to behold because it is simply quite a sight, but also because I guess I wasn't really expecting William to appear in FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator initially. I mean, I know he always comes back, but prior to that, seeing William Afton return here as Scraptrap was startling to say the least. For me, with both Springtrap and Scraptrap, one of the worst things about either, and both of them, are their eyes. Springtraps were very lively, but Scraptraps look like they really are ready to fall out at any moment. Number 8, Charlie's fate. Well, this isn't exactly William that we see in this scene specifically. His influence is apparently felt throughout it, as he is believed to have been the one to basically kill the daughter of Henry Emily, his business partner. Charlotte's, or Charlie's death, is brutal and sad to watch, and it's all the more horrific to know that William is the man behind this. Especially when you consider that this was a man whom Henry likely trusted. Whether or not this was intentional, it's pretty scary to think that even when William isn't in a scene and isn't actually there, he can still be the orchestrator working in the shadows behind it, the bringer of death even when shrouded in mystery. Number 7, way too chill. One of the other moments that features Afton and that I think is deeply disturbing is when we hear him speaking at the beginning of Sister Location. He seems to be talking to an officer here and is explaining features belonging to Circus Baby. The really creepy thing is that the officers would probably only be asking about Circus Baby if this is following the incident where the animatronic killed Elizabeth. If Elizabeth is his daughter, like so many of us believe to be true, and I believe it's been confirmed at least in writing, then this means he is calmly talking about the animatronic that killed her. How psychotic is this man? Is he in shock? Is this a sign that he's lost his mind? Or am I wrong in assuming that Elizabeth's death is something this fresh? I just don't see why else he would be questioned about Circus Baby by those who are implied to be members of law enforcement. It's a strange and disturbing moment in relation to Afton's demeanor and his story. Number 6, possession. I think one of the most terrifying things we learn about William Afton in Security Breach, other than the fact that, you know, he's still somehow alive, which is honestly pretty terrifying, is that he can actually possess and control other animatronics. In essence, we learn in this game that William can basically now hack into animatronics and take hold of them, because, you know, he was Glitchtrap, so he was digital, and now he can apparently do other things digitally. He lives in the internet. An especially scary thing to learn after we've befriended Glamrock Freddy in this game. Number 5, Springtrap Survives. I think one of the most horrifying things to think about is how many times William seems to have somehow cheated death. Above all, his goal seems to be to become immortal, and in a twisted way, kinda seems to have succeeded there. This is showcased during the end cutscene in FNAF 3, where despite Fazbear Frights having been burned to the ground, it is revealed that somehow William Afton survived and still lives as Springtrap, now becoming even more grotesquely maimed than he was before, and even more of a shambling husk of a corpse trapped within the tattered Spring Bonnie suit. Number 4, Springtrap Jumpscare. Probably one of the scariest moments moments to me in terms of William Afton's appearances has to be in FNAF 3, when, you know, he first jump scares you and we get to see him. We didn't really know what we were dealing with in this game when it first came out and everyone was first going into it, and honestly a lot of people who even first played it were kind of like guinea pigs figuring out how it worked so that the rest of us could actually understand the mechanics. So when you look back at past playthroughs from your favorite streamers and your favorite YouTubers, this is one of the games that becomes straight up nightmare fuel in regards to its unpredictability when it comes to gameplay mechanics, but also the appearance of Springtrap here. He has to be one of the most frightening animatronics that we've encountered in the franchise to this day. So his first appearance as Springtrap is obviously gonna stand out. Number 3. Return in Security Breach. One of the most surprising and spookiest moments when it comes to William Afton happens when he appears in the most recent game, Security Breach. In this game, William Afton returns as a creature being dubbed as Burntrap. This is because he appears to be completely charred, and people also know he was last seen as Glitchtrap in Help Wanted, where he was supposedly completely gone but now just kind of existed digitally, so we thought, okay, this guy, he's gone. But of course, that was simply not the case. We had all hoped that Vanny would be the new villain taking over, but if there is one thing that remains true about William Afton, it's that he really does always come back. Number 2. Peripheral Presence. Definitely one of the most horrifying moments for me involving William comes from Help Wanted, as I think it well should, considering that VR horror is probably the most terrifying kind of horror game that we have. And understandably so, because with most games, you know, you can easily detach from them, but with VR it feels like you're fully immersed because they're not just out here and here, they're all around you. If the game of course is good. William as Glitchtrap doesn't even have to do much in this game to freak me out either. I think one of the scariest moments involving him is actually just in the minigame lobby where you return to after completing or failing a game to select your next one. Here Glitchtrap will seemingly kind of phase in and out of view, appearing on what feels like your peripheral vision. And despite not being as visible and present here, this actually makes his presence more menacing and threatening somehow. Number 1. Pizza Party. Another straight up nightmare scenario is at the end of the Pizza Party minigame, where you get invited to join Spring Bonnie, if you can successfully survive the maze. Although, at least you do get treated to delicious cake and pizza first. Well, I'm assuming it's delicious anyways, obviously we can't really taste anything that we consume in VR reality. Attending this pizza party though seems to have consequences, and the ending reveals that you are likely one of William Afton's victims, with you appearing on stage holding a microphone at the end, implying that you have been killed, stuffed into an animatronic, and now basically possess it. In the audience you can see Glitchtrap gleefully dancing around, also really creepily, and seemingly celebrating. See what I mean? Nightmare scenario. This is also one of the endings you can get in the full game, so this is like, that's how it ends. And friends, that is the end of this video. That's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again next time. Until then, keep on gaming on.